Welcome to this week's review. First week of April, it was an NFP week, and of the, geez, it's like just over 6 months now that I've been trading this plan and going through the challenge. This is literally the first profitable NFP week, which feels like a bit of a milestone. Yeah, so two trades taken. Uh, Yeah, both met the plan. Both were low risk setups based on my current definitions. Um, the first odd ended D long, that ended up just selling off very aggressively, and the entire weekly bias was invalidated. So yeah, not too mad about that. I don't think there's anything I could have done differently. It was a very conservative entry. It was a reduced risk entry. And so, yeah, just kind of got to take those as they come. Then the CAD JPY short, yeah, taken London session on Friday, um, which was a really good trade. I think ended up running to about 3 or 4 R. So potentially closed prematurely there, but look, followed the plan in terms of targets that I set, and was looking for a another short entry during New York session. But yeah, my entry criteria was very conservative. Didn't want to rush into any positions too close to market close. Um, and yeah, especially after taking a win earlier in the day, um, didn't want to give that back to the market. So yeah, just closed out for those two, which was about ended 0.5% up for the week. Um, and we'll get into other accounts looking in a bit. But what did I learn this week? It's kind of just to be attentive to the market and don't hesitate when you get your signal to enter, especially if you plan the trade beforehand. And I think that related to my order in the D position. Um, I forecasted and knew what I was looking for, and then went into a training session, and I think I got my entry confirmation straight after training, and yeah, just sized it up quickly and executed, and then did all the journaling when I got home. So yeah, sometimes you get trades like that which play out when you're very busy and you don't have time to think about them twice at that point of execution, which is why planning, I think, your trades beforehand plays an important role at that point of execution so that you're not hesitating and potentially missing setups. Second thing I learned was that my plan may require a major revision of the high time frame framework I use to identify setups. And that's due to progressing through the ICT mentorship and learning a lot about PD arrays this week, which is still, look, this was in January 2017 of the ICT mentorship, but he still uses those concepts quite a bit at present. So I think quite an important concept and one that I'll definitely be implementing. And so going into the weekend, that's something I'll spend a bit of time on, and that's going to be the next series on the Daily Nugget. So keep an eye out for that, starting, I guess, today, Sunday, which is where I dropped the observation. And then over the next couple of days, we'll be sharing insights as to how I may incorporate that. But that will only come into effect on my next revision of the plan. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So the most important thing I need to work on improving this week is my weekly setup selection, based mainly on the fact that ending the week, there's only one setup just CAD JPY, which is still valid. All the other five setups had to be taken off watch because they developed in a manner that led them to being invalid. And so when I do my high time frame analysis over the weekend, I'm just making a note of prioritizing setups which are valid going into the week over setups which are invalid but have the potential to become valid from, a high time frame perspective. And I see that a lot where there'll be two setups, setup A and setup B. Setup A is valid. It's played out on the daily, but let's say there's 200 pips to take profit. And I perceive that as a low quality opportunity as opposed to setup B, which is not valid. It's still correcting towards that EPD area. And so in my mind, I'm seeing the potential of playing the correction down to EPD and then subsequently the continuation back up to external range liquidity. I think the flaw in that thinking is assuming that price will become valid for me to then capitalize on the move both ways and not taking into consideration that price does not have to become valid and it could just continue going, which is what I saw a lot of this week. And so there were two setups which were on watch, but were invalid and never became valid the entire week. And so it's a lot of, I guess, wasted opportunity looking at pairs that never really evolved or materialized, rather. So that's something I'll be quite mindful of this week. And then the most important thing I should continue doing is executing without hesitation. And yeah, that speaks for itself. Alpha Capital, same account. And so yeah, balance or the equity sitting at 1.5%, which leaves us with 3.5% left. Once I do get to 2% profit, I then become more aggressive with my risk and start risking 1% of capital per trade. And yeah, that's when the returns become a lot more attractive. So that's something we could see next week, potentially the following week. What I think the reason I emphasize the whole first winning week from an NFP week is because this is normally my worst performing week, and the weeks after this are normally I perform a lot better. And so looking forward to capitalizing on the rest of April and seeing what we can potentially close out the month with. If we can potentially pass this challenge in April, I think that would be very, very dope. So great way to start the second quarter, great momentum, and just want to keep this going. So remember that consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you should be doing day in and day out.